Good evening, I'm Emilio Rodarte, and in this podcast format, I'm going to share my project for multicultural actors and perspectives through storytelling. The whole goal of this project was to investigate and explain an SDG target and let three different people tell their perspectives to demonstrate how the issue has impacted their lives. I decided to use the SDG number 13, climate action. The target selected talks about improving the education awareness raising and human and institutional capacity on climate change, mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning. The question that I wanted the three different perspectives to answer was how can we raise awareness on how public transportation affects the city? I have chosen this SDG since in Monterrey every day due to public transportation, the burn of fossil fuels and the use of gasoline makes the principal source of contamination. The three different perspectives were all male, but they were all in three different levels of profession. One is currently a high school student named Fernando, one is currently in college called Omar, and the other one is now working called Matthias. I'm going to put clips of the interview in which they answer how often do you use the public transportation, what do you think are the effects of public transport on the environment, and how will you raise awareness on public transport. Right now I'm going to put the audio of Matthias.
Second question: how often do you use the public transport? I don't use it at all. I have a car, so I don't have the necessity to use public transport. For fifth question, what do you think about the effects of public? The effects of public transportation will be that it allows a large amount of people to reach other places that they couldn't if they didn't have public transportation. So you have this movement of people from one place to another one. So it gives people this freedom of looking for jobs outside of their homes, looking for I don't know, reaching some places that they think it was impossible. So public transportation, that's the effect. For the question number six, I will let people know what are the positive or the bright side of using public transportation. So that might make them change of mind, So I will do that.
Next up are the clips of Omar.
Personally, I use the public transport like 5 times a week, mostly for personal uh, voyages or just to go to the school. Public transport is supposed to have a positive impact in the environment because it stores, or I don't know, more people are able to travel in one single unit than if each person travels around in their own car. So it's supposed to have a positive impact. However, having old buses, as I mentioned, and the fact that people don't use public transport, it makes it kind of inefficient, and it ends up harming the environment. Not the public transportation itself, but the culture we have here in Monterey. It's it's like a downside to it. I don't think that. Well, I mean, one thing is to raise awareness, like to try to, like, I don't know, marketing campaigns to make people use the metro system. But the thing is, people are not going to use them if they don't feel like it's a good system. So I don't know if I would raise awareness on public transportation, but I would rather try to like move people, or to push politicians to create policies to to I don't know, to implement a better system, like to give them the economic means or the infrastructure so that the public transportation system in Monterey can be reformed and adapted to the new demands of the city, which is like huge levels of pollution and a lot of people living in it and a lot of cars, which is like an endless cycle. So I think that that would be the main focus of it, like to actually push for policies and not a marketing campaign, because in the end, I don't think that's gonna work.
For the last audio, it was supposed to be Fernando's, but since in his audio there is a lot of background noise, I decided to do the audio myself and put a question and answer. The first question: how often do you use the public transport? His answer: he uses it at least once a year. The second question: what do you think are the effects of public transportation on the environment? He answered that it is not only damaging our own way of living, it has affected for there to be less green zones in the city, which makes the air more dirtier, and you can't go out to the street without certain year of protection. And for the last one, how will he raise awareness on public transportation? He doesn't know how to start, but he said that a good way is to start saying to the people the effects that the public transportation has on our city. The initial question for the podcast was, how can the testimonies that I collect motivate a change in me or in others? I can conclude that the people that I interview don't use the public transport as much as I thought they would. They don't know all the effects that the public transport has on our city. However, they do care about how the environment is being damaged. They know that they need to do the change now, or if they don't do it right now, it will be too late for ourselves and the future generations. So I think with that in mind, that can motivate us to see that people do really care about our environment of the city, and hopefully people will now, after listening this podcast, they will gather up and start doing a change for themselves and start telling people that it's time to act now.